A random kid told me I'm his real father. I told him, I don't care. I don't want a relationship with you. Am I the a-hole?
Daddy, is that you?
You my real dad?
This is just turning sexual now.
The voice was way too much.
Oh, Daddy. Daddy.
Let's get into it. From 18 to 25, I was an absolute wild child. Lots of beer and lots of hookups where we didn't even know each other's names. I was dealing with lots of damage to the point where I don't remember most of those years. Now at almost 40, I'm much better now with therapy and Alcoholics Anonymous and my saint of a wife, but that's the important background. I was clear with my wife that it is quite possible that I have some kids out there.
I was raw dogging every port in town, baby.
Goodness gracious. Though, a lot of the women I slept with have no way of contacting me to be sure. My wife budgeted some savings for if we ever have to pay child support for a couple of kids, but just asked that I get a paternity test before we welcome them in. We have no kids of our own and don't really want any. Last year, a 16-year-old boy contacted me saying that I was his real father.
Real? Like there's a fake father?
Like, I want to be a real boy. We'll call him K. K claimed to be the son of one of my old classmates and that his mom had raised him by herself because she didn't want to cause any trouble. But she had told him about me the whole time, and he spent a lot of his life Googling me. He had finally worked up the courage to contact me and asked if we could meet.
That's cute. If I had a 16-year-old kid, I would meet him.
I would be excited.
Yeah, I would be excited. I'm like, oh my God. I could like almost drink with my son. I could smoke a cig with my son in money. I could drink with him in Russia.
Move to Russia.
Drink some vodka.
Now that's grade A parenting right there. Since I can neither confirm nor deny sleeping with his mother, I agreed to meet between our two towns. I drove about 5 hours and he drove about 45 minutes, though I did tell him about my wife's request. He was fine with it. We met after the paternity kit got here. He did the spit thing, gave it back, and we sat and talked and had lunch and then drove back home.
I think they're related.
Opie's the father?
Yeah, they gotta be.
We were not a match.
Oh, that's tragic because not only does this kid learn that OP is not the father, but he also learns that his mom was a hoe.
Jesus Christ. Samuel. I had my profile done a while ago just so that it was out there in case any kids found me that way. Kay and I are not related. I contacted him, gave him all of his data, and I let him down gently. He was devastated, crying, claiming that it wasn't real, that he had spent his entire life idolizing me, and that I had to be his dad.
Oh, dude. Dude.
He begged me to have a relationship, but I'm not entirely interested in building one with a random kid. I apologized again, but left it at that. His mom reached out, begging me as well, saying that she was so sure I was the father that it's destroying him not knowing who his real dad is.
I mean, like, how many people did you hook up with?
I mean, it could literally be one other person. That's all it takes.
Exactly. For all we know, it could be like another 300 dudes.
I said it was a real shame, but the father isn't me. I am not dad material, especially not for somebody else's kid. This just came up in a convo recently and sparked an argument. Some say it's fine. Others say it's cruel to abandon a kid who spent his entire life believing he was mine. So, am I the asshole here?
I want to know what everyone else thinks. Put your answers in the comments. But no way. If one of our followers was like, Sam, I've been idolizing you for the past 3 years. You're my daddy. Depending on how hot she was, like, no, I'm kidding.
No, he's not.
I'm kidding. Just like call me.
Go to Bali, surf in an area that we're in, and just see how I protected you.
Wow, you really protected me.
And just reach up and touch his buttocks while he's doing a handstand. That's the way to meet him.
Yeah, if you see me in public, slap my ass.
There we go.
I don't know if I want that. Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
If you see me in public, no grabbing, but you can slap.
There we go. Touch, don't feel.
Touch, don't feel.
That's the rule.
But yeah, I mean, if someone like random person on the internet was like, you're my dad, and just because they built this fantasy in their heads doesn't mean that I have to like play into their fantasy and fulfill every want and desire and every hole that they want filled.
God damn.
I'm talking about the holes in their heart.
Oh, wow. The holes in their heart, right? Yeah.
I'm not going to fill every one of their holes just because they called me daddy.
Of course.
I'll consider it though.
Starting now. All the times in the past, that was a different story. Today is a new day, gentlemen. Samuel Donner is starting anew.
Oh, no. I'm saving my genitals for Ashley.
That's right. Yeah. I like how you almost said heart, but then switched it up. Yeah.
My dad sent me an email saying that I shouldn't sleep around.
Wow, that is so incredible.
He said something sacred in you. It's actually really well thought out.
Honestly, that is really sweet and really...
Here, all I'm going to say, I love you, Dad.
I feel like that's a good approach. From father to son, that's a sweet move. I like that. It's very kind. This is not me trying to earn brownie points.
You become a beacon of light for so many, and are building a media entertainment company that is producing incredible, impactful content, both with heart and humor.
Wow. Dude.
That's us. That's us.
What a guy.
As we have talked, we entrepreneurs move so fast, sometimes we forget about ourselves and the incredible deep inner work that we need to do, which, by the way, is lifelong. You can't ever stop improving. One thing I thought of for my own self is early on understanding to some degree what I hold sacred in myself and letting that guide me. That said, even the most sacred in us will get challenged through our life, but if we do the inner work, we always come back. Perhaps my early Catholic upbringing set some things in me first, the commandments, but later on for me, they became my sacred acknowledgement. I wanted deep relationships, and I sought them in all my houses: relationship, friendship, family, business, external. That way, I always knew who had my back. Frank.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. But that is such a beautiful and passionate way to tell your son not to stick his penis in people. Like, I am blown away. I think it's really sweet.
He's like always really good about like saying like, hey, I'm not judging you, but like,
yeah.
Make sure what you're doing actually aligns with your values.
And like also father to son, I feel like that's a very...
He's great. Great guy. So I'm going to not sleep around unless they call me daddy.
Asterisk. Oh, man.
Should we get into this next story?
Yeah, let's fuck it up.
My wife just found out that she's infertile, so now we're getting a divorce. We both wanted children, and I'm furious with her. Am I the asshole?
How dare your ovaries not work?
I know.
Come on now.
I'm bringing all the semen to the semen party, and your guy doesn't even have a party there.
No kids. I got a whole daycare coming in.
I got a whole army trying to break down your fortress.
Oh, goodness.
We have been married for 5 years. We have been trying to conceive for some time. We ran through an array of tests and found out she couldn't get pregnant. IVF is not an option. Starting a family and raising children were something we both want to do. It was pretty shocking. My wife has taken it very badly. She has been moody and angry. I've tried to give her space and tried to talk to her about it, but she lashes out at both. It has been a week, and she said she wanted to file for divorce and be done with our marriage. She sounds angry when she talks about it, and she said it was better that we get it over and done with now. We got into an argument, and she said I should find a woman who could give me what I want. She's like, I can't. I'm like, I'm never going to be enough for you. And it's like, you have this plan of what you think your partner is going to be. She's like, I'm not that for you.
Does OP still feel that way?
Well, I have tried to convince her that I have no intention of leaving her. She doesn't believe me. I don't know what to do here. I know she's just trying to deal with all these emotions by turning it into an anger and then projecting it on me. I don't know how to deal with this. She is supposed to be the rational one in the relationship. We've gone through a lot, and she has dealt with everything with calmness. I know she's hurting a lot. I just wish I could help her feel a bit better, and there is an update. I want to know if anyone in this situation, like anyone who can't have kids, how did you deal with that news?
Yeah, I think what are all the ways that the relationship could move forward? Like, for instance, adoption, right?
Well, let's get into this update and see what happens. So a lot has happened. I asked her that if she wanted to get divorced in 6 months' time, we could get one, but we should drop it for now. She agreed to it. I took over most of the cooking, and I pretty made all of her favorite dishes. She was still angry, but less so. 2 days ago, she was finally in a place to process her emotions. She spent half the night crying in my arms. It was heartbreaking, but I held on. Today, this morning, I cracked a joke, and she laughed after what feels like a long time. She said she was going to start therapy because she wanted to be in a good mental place before we started the adoption process. There's a lot of work ahead of us, but I am fairly certain I am not getting divorced in 6 months. TLDR, I took care of her while she processed it. She's doing better now, and she's planning to go to therapy.
Wow. That is the wholesome, beautiful outcome that we all live for.
That's great. That's great. I'm so happy for OP.
Yeah. And hopefully the adoption process goes well. They get a kid and happily ever after.
Yeah. But there's a lot of ways to skin a cat or to skin a child, you know?
That is one way of metaphorically describing it.
Yep. And I'm sticking with it. But let's get to this next story.
Let's do it. I lied about who my baby daddy is, but my cousin might tell him. Should I keep hiding the truth? Am I the a-hole?
Children are not a gift that you should give to another person. You should never white elephant children.
This baby daddy has unloaded a whole can of nuts, and chaos is about to ensue. So let's find out.
Great segue.
By the way, this was submitted by one of our incredible fans and community members, Reddit user AssumptionOK2753.
You should also submit your stories to r/OKOPshow if you want us to read them.
That's right. right. All right, let's get into it. I, 26 female, grew up in the Midwest, but went to college in California. There, I met and dated Jeff, 26 male, for the final 2 years of undergraduate. After graduation, I stayed in California to get my master's degree while Jeff entered the workforce. We were happy together and we planned to get married after I got my master's. After I finished my schooling, Jeff got cold feet about getting married and eventually becoming a father. Abandonment issues from his own bio dad leaving, so he broke up with me.
Wow. So she poked holes in all the condoms. You're not getting away that fast, Big
Oh,
Daddy.
man. Heartbroken feels like it would barely scratch the surface of how it felt. I had a great job in California, so I stayed there in hopes that Jeff would come to his senses and we'd get back together. Now, he met Grace, 25, and started dating her about 5 months after we broke up. I started planning on moving back home to my home state once I realized it was actually over. Then, he and Grace broke up at the beginning of the year. Jeff and I ended up sleeping together a few times while they were broken up. It was a very public breakup, no cheating involved. About a week after the last time we did it, he told me that he and Grace were getting back together. He said he couldn't remain friends with me because he still had feelings for me and he had to let them fade to be fair to Grace.
I mean, that is true. That is true. It's so messy. I've literally been in this exact situation.
It is, but it's hard. His final words to me were to not call him unless I was literally dying and just wanting to say goodbye. The only words you can say to me are, I'm on my deathbed and I need to talk to you one last time to say, fuck you. I left California behind 3 weeks later. 2 weeks after I returned home, I found out that I was pregnant.
Yikes.
My man's a straight shooter. The baby was Jeff's. I wasn't going to be that girl that uses a pregnancy to get a man back, so I deleted all my social media accounts and made new ones that don't have my name attached to them. The only California people I added were trusted friends who I knew either had no connection to Jeff or were loyal to me and wouldn't tell him about my new accounts. Early in my pregnancy, I made the mistake of checking out Jeff's and Grace's respective profiles, and I saw that they refer to each other as Lommel, love of my life. And Jeff even had a picture of them captioned saying that he was going to marry that girl. That broke me all over again, and I have since blocked them both and decided I have to move on with my life.
It wasn't just that he wasn't ready for marriage. It was just like you weren't the person that he wanted to marry.
Damn. I am now 6.5 months pregnant. Since moving back, I have bought my own house in my home state, and I've been really busy building a nursery for my baby. I already love this little baby in my belly, and I feel 100% confident that I can raise and provide for him on my own with minor help from my family. One of my best friends back in California was having an engagement party. I won't be able to attend the wedding as I'll be busy with a newborn when it happens, so I decided to fly out to see my friends and offer my congratulations to the couple before life becomes baby-centric. I got into town on Thursday and honestly had a blast seeing all of my friends yesterday, even though it's only been about 6 months since I've last seen them. They were all respectful of my wishes not to take pictures of me below the chest. They did post some pictures of me online, but from the angles where it looks like I've just gained some weight in my face. Still works, I guess. Nothing that would give away the pregnancy. It's a couple of days before booking my flight back home, and the friend that I'm staying with suggested that we go to the store because she wanted to get a scrapbook for our engaged friend. So we went to the store, and as we're getting ready to leave, I see Jeff's cousin, Tanya, 20-ish female, walk in. I talked to her several times at Jeff's family gatherings over the years, but we never really got along. She was always a bit too gossipy for me to like her.
Oh, literally the worst person.
So, of course, she was the last person I wanted to see. The first thing she did was loudly announce that I was pregnant, as if everyone in the store couldn't just tell by looking at me. Then she started grilling me, asking if Jeff knows. I said no, and that he doesn't need to know, as it's not his. That was a lie, obviously, but I didn't want to open a can of worms. Tanya then tells me, with how big my belly is, that I'm far along and asked how I could move on so quickly. My goodness. She's like, well, this is 6 months since the last time I saw you guys, Bobby Steakhouse, so Tanya needs to become a detective over here. Good gravy. I told her that Jeff and I broke up a long time ago. She responded saying that everyone knows that we were still hooking up at the beginning of this year. I did not know that this was common knowledge. I figured Jeff would have kept his mouth shut about that. Anyway, I lied and told her that I already had a new boyfriend and I was 5 months pregnant. She seemed to accept that and awkwardly congratulated me. My friend and I paid for her stuff and we left immediately after that. I've prayed that would be the end of it.
Oh God, it's not going to be the end of it.
But like I said, Tanya loves gossip. So of course she went and ran her mouth about seeing me pregnant just a few hours later. Now a bunch of my friends have messaged me saying that Jeff is blowing up their inboxes trying to reach me. None of them have told him about my new number or social media, so he has no way of reaching me himself. My flight back home isn't for another 2 days and I'm freaking out. Some of my friends are saying that I should just tell him the truth, that now he knows that I am pregnant. I still say I can get by pretending it's somebody else's and that I'm not far enough along for it to be his. I honestly just want to ignore him and go back home. However, I'm having some doubts that that's the right choice and there isn't a consensus on what to do, so I'm turning to internet strangers.
I have some thoughts. I want to know what everyone else would do.
Yeah.
Put your answers in the comments.
If anyone's been in a similar situation.
But I personally think it's an asshole move, extenuating circumstances of abuse or whatever. It is an asshole move to not tell the father of your child that it is their child.
Yeah, I mean, I very much feel for OP and like all the things that she's gone through.
But I think she's still the asshole.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jeff also should have not been messy at the same time.
Jeff's going through a hard spot. Yes, but he didn't violate the relationship. He was just hooking up with this person. He didn't say that he wanted a relationship with her. I think he was operating above board.
The big thing here is I have to imagine that he knew, like she said, she stayed in California in hopes of them getting back together. And he probably was aware of maybe not exactly how she felt, but that she was still like available and down.
Yeah, but like it's normal to hook up with your exes after a breakup.
It's normal, but is it good?
No, it's not good. I'm not saying it is not messy and like these are some very messy situations. Is he an asshole? I do not think so.
Yeah.
Consensually hooking up with your ex is not an asshole move.
If he knew some degrees of how vulnerable she is in terms of like wanting to get back into his life and giving her the hope again that might happen because of that I think is the a-hole move. If he hooked up with her and they had both like moved on and it was just like, all right, let's just run it back and it's not like she had been pining for him for all of this time.
But he doesn't know how she's feeling. And
he might not. He totally might not. But I just have a sneaking assumption and suspicion that he might know to some degree how she feels and that she stayed for him. I could be wrong though.
Yeah. I think based on the information we've been given, he is not the asshole.
But I do think it is
obviously it's complicated.
Yeah, it's complicated.
It's not super black and white.
And it is an a-hole move, I think, to not tell the person who you had a baby with.
What do you think of our takes? Put your answers in the comments. We want to read them and look at them. And we want to look at you.
Oh, yes. And let us know your stories below. If you've been in a similar situation, tell us. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.